Hey guys, it's Bill from Linden, Tennessee. I've kind of taken a little bit of a break today from the Volkswagen project. I discovered a whole bunch of rust and it just kind of put me in a mood. So I'm going to do something else. This Flail mower, this is off of a Farmall low boy or high boy, something like that. But this is called a Mott Flail mower. And if you were sitting in the tractor, you would be kind of up here, and this whole dang thing would be offset to your right, like by a lot. So where you sit is like kind of here, and then all of that over there is hanging out to the side. I'm not going to do that. What I want to do, I want to mount this to my 3-point on the little tractor. And what I'll do is, instead of having bars, solid bars rising and lower the lower arms, I'll just put chains on there. That way these arms will float. And then I'll have a solid link on the top. And yeah, so the lowers will mount roughly there in those two clean patches. And then the top will mount somewhere else. And what will happen is the top will basically and then the back will roll on this rear roller. I need to try and figure out how to get that thing out of there because it's got some bearings in it, I suspect, or it used to have bearings, and I want to put bearings in it. And anyway, the rear of the deck will ride on this roller as it cuts the grass, and the front so that's where the flail would have gone. Determined by how long that top link is, this whole the flail will rotate on the rear roller. And that roller is actually adjustable too. This bolt, this nightmare of bolts right here, if you take that out, there's like 4 little adjusters on there. Maybe. Where's my camera? Where the hell is my camera? Hold please, as I figure out how. There we go. There it is. Sorry. Yeah, so, yeah, that's it. So there's 4 adjusters there. So I could take that out and adjust the back. And that would give me all kinds of adjustment for this thing. And it runs off of a pulley mounted on this side. What I'll do is I'll just put a receiver hitch on like I have on all my other implements and use that same motor to run this thing. There's a general consensus on all of the farming, modified farm tractor Facebook groups that these will the flails either rotate in the direction of travel, kind of like the tires do, or in the opposite direction. There's been a general consensus that it could be either way. I don't really know. Well, I do. Judging by how the little flails have been worn and by how all the crap was wrapped around these bearings, all that stuff there, from originally this would have traveled in the direction of travel, kind of like the tires are, but I can kind of see it going either way. Apparently it gives a better cut if it rotates backwards, but I don't know. The cool thing that I can do, since this is electric, I can have my little cord coming from the back of the tractor and just go to a fixed location. And then I've got a reversing contactor. So all I would have to do is just put a switch. I could just flip a switch and make the motor turn in the other direction. So I could do it both ways. And I could either do it both ways and keep it so it can go either direction. Perhaps it mows better on tall stuff if it's rotating opposite direction, or vice versa with short stuff. I don't know. So I can do that, and I can have an adjustment. I can make it go either way, and I can have the hiccups. So that is the plan. And I wanted to do this now, obviously, because in about a month or so I'm going to have to start cutting the grass, and I think I can probably have this thing done by then. I didn't take any pictures of it before I started taking it apart, but all I've done really is took the bearings off of the ends, and I got them soaked in parts washer so I can try and find a number on it in order to do bearings for it. And I'll pressure wash this whole, not pressure wash it, I'll sandblast this whole thing, get it down to bare metal. And some of these welds on here need to be addressed. This needs to be cut off, because that's, not only does it look terrible, but I don't think I'm going to need it anyway. But I might keep it on there just for the heck of it. And what else? That's it, really. I guess somebody at one point tried to change these bearings out and they were stuck. So they just took a grinder and cut out a big a big thing so I could get the bearings out. I think I'm going to try and fill that back in. See how they just put a plate on there. I think I'm just gonna fill that back in and weld new metal in it so that the bearing sits where it's supposed to. Yeah. And of course, I'll replace all these bolts and all this other stuff, and we'll fix all these welds. I'll V-groove those, that crack. I'll V-groove it down and put a good weld in there, and then grind it down flat. So when it's painted, you never know. And since this was painted yellow, I think I'll go ahead and paint it yellow. So it'll look like that. That'll be pretty sweet. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I may end up just spending a whole bunch of time and money. Not a bunch of money, but a bunch of time on this thing, and it doesn't actually work. The problem is going to be if this little roller is dragging on the ground, it might be really hard to steer. I don't know. Because, you know, whenever you steer this thing, the nose goes to the right, but the tail end goes to the left. So, well, no, that's not true. The nose goes to the right, but the tail goes to the right also. So they both kind of move around each other. But I think maybe if I'm moving, then it'll be all right. If I'm stationary, it won't steer. But I think if I'm moving, it'll steer. I don't have any idea. Maybe what I should do before I get too deep into this thing is put my little brackets on there and just hook the thing up and see what happens. That's probably a good idea. One other thing I will need to do with this is I don't have any way to keep these from swinging back and forth like that. So I need to come up with some sort of a way to do it. I kind of have an issue where these little arms right there, they would normally go to a bar. Well, they would go to the same bar that the front pivot is. So that front pivot would be the same pivot that these sway adjusters would go to. That way when the arms raise and lower, these raise and lower at the same fulcrum. But I can't do that. So I'm going to have to come up with something else. I think what I'll end up doing is just have chains running in like an X. It won't be hugely adjustable. Or I could just have, what do they call that? Those turnbuckles. I could have turnbuckles going from the left and the right. And that would be adjustable. Yeah, maybe I could do that. Anyway, I'll come up with something. It's gonna have to be in an X pattern. The only problem with that is I would like for, you know, one side to come up and the other side to stay there. That way, if there was some sort of undulation of the ground, then the mower could follow it. Like if the wheel went over a bump, then the mower needs to follow the terrain that it's on, and then the mower will eventually hit that bump, and then it needs to go up, but the tractor won't go up. So these kind of need to move, and if there's a chain going across, that might not work, because in one direction it would work, but in the other direction the chains would end up hitting each other. I don't really know what to do about that. I'm gonna study on it, as they say. But that's what I'm gonna be working on. Well, I guess basically until this is kind of finished. So I'm gonna take a little break from the Volkswagen for a little while. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.